Well, Lahore historically has been sort of the center of commerce and trade since the Mughal era, right? So I think people generally are very entrepreneurial. They're very, there's a risk-taking appetite in the people. I think Lahoris are great storytellers, which is one of the things that you need to become a successful entrepreneur. My name is Khurram Zafar. I'm currently the CEO of Pakistan Mercantile Exchange. It's the only regulated commodities exchange in Pakistan. Prior to that, I was managing a venture capital fund called 47 Ventures. To my knowledge, I think it's probably the first venture capital fund that was established in 2016 to invest in technology startups in Pakistan. And since I was based in Lahore, that's where we centered the fund also, and most of the investments that we made, they have been in Lahore as well. In 2016, if you recall, the entrepreneurial ecosystem wasn't as vast as it is today. But it just so happened that, one after the other, there were more and more mature companies here. There was a lot of talent that started recognizing that, working for somebody else is not the only thing that, you need to benchmark yourself against. You can also start your own business, especially technology businesses, because it has somewhat of a democratizing effect. If you're setting up an industry, you need tons of labor, you need land, you need machinery, you need processes, systems. With tech companies, I think the Pakistani talent at that time realized that they could, just gather 2, 3, 4 friends, work together on a compelling product, either solving a local problem or an international problem, and they can build a large company around that. And with that, there was more capital that came in as well. There were more venture capital funds that started investing in Pakistan. When I was in US, the primary motivation was to work for myself, to make a lot of money. But when I moved to Pakistan, it was essentially, earlier on, there was for personal reason, my mother was sick and she was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis. So I didn't quite have a choice. So I had to move back. But I think one of the things, taking care of mother, I realized is that the country is like the mother as well. And if it's sick, if it's ailing, if it needs help, we have to sort of come together and, help it. Right? If everybody starts, giving up on their ailing parents, you can imagine, what kind of society, what kind of people would be. Right? So I think that was somewhere in the back of my mind to stay here, to try to do my 2 bits and, give whatever I can to the country. And, I was lucky. There were lots of friends who felt the same way and they sort of joined hands. And we were able to, make small interventions here and there, use some influence in the government, both in the provincial governments and the federal governments, in the academic circles, to put together a nice ecosystem. And that has been very rewarding, to see the outcome from those endeavors. It's been very rewarding. Building Pakistan's knowledge economy is not a light undertaking. It's something that required a lot of people to come together to first share a vision that this is something that ought to be done. Second, there has to be raw talent pool in the ecosystem in which we're trying to do this. And we are lucky, places like Lahore and, other cities in Pakistan, they have a lot of entrepreneurial talent. So we saw the potential in that talent. And then we got a lot of support from the government, both provincial government as well as federal government. So a lot of people came together, government came together. There was a lot of stars that aligned together back in, I would say, 2012, 13, 14 time frame. That sort of, drew everybody's attention towards, working together to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem and starting to invest in that ecosystem, as well as supported with lots of policy making in the government. I met a public servant, his name is Mohyuddin Wani, at his house once. And we started talking, this was back in 2012. And he's an amazing bureaucrat, very passionate about education. He was in, I think federal government, the Secretary of Education recently, has done a lot of good work in Islamabad as well. And, I said, I want to do something to promote the culture of tech entrepreneurship in Lahore. I said, why don't you round up some people and I'll try to get the CM, Shahbaz Sharif was the CM at that time, and we'll have a meeting, tell him what you want to do. And that's exactly what happened. It was just over a cup of tea, sitting in his house, just sharing what I wanted to do. And I'm saying, okay, let me try to, round up a few people and then let's talk about it. And that then evolved into, what became Plan 9. Lots of people obviously contributed towards it. Plan 9 was one of the first public sector incubators that Punjab government has started. I've always maintained that the roles of policymakers and incubators and accelerators is to sort of, draw attention towards the world of entrepreneurship. And, I'd give credit to Dr. Suhail Naqvi. He was the Vice Chancellor when we started having these conversations. And he recognized the fact that, that being lumps, we shouldn't be making job seekers and putting job seekers into the economy. We should be, injecting job creators into the economy. And that's where this idea for the Lump Center for Entrepreneurship came about, and involvement in National Incubation Center. For a knowledge-based startup, you need people. That's the basic ingredient in a knowledge-based startup. If you can round up 3, 4, 5, kids from your university who complement your skills and who share your vision, then the only other thing you need is a place where you could, work together. Maybe, some computing equipment, some support and mentorship and guidance that, are we going in the right direction? Do we need to make any course corrections? And as long as you get that environment and you're passionate enough, you have clarity, your vision, you know what you're doing, then you can build very large businesses. And we have examples, National Incubation Center, we have plenty of examples of such companies. Healthwire comes to mind. I think it's probably one of the best examples of a homegrown startup in the health sector, which is a fairly regulated sector, and growing really fast and doing wonders now. Healthwire now does over $6 million in ARR. They have 85 pharmacies all across Pakistan. They have 10, 12 million patient records, 15, 16 million medical records. It's one of the largest health tech companies in Pakistan today. So, Lahore, I give a lot of credit to the entrepreneurs here, to the tech talent here, that it has, at least based on what I've seen and what I've been involved in, it is now one of the densest entrepreneurial ecosystems in Pakistan right now. And the reasons for that, first of all, the top-tier universities, probably the highest density of top-tier universities in Lahore, entrepreneurial talent, the ability to tell stories. They've seen some success stories from Lahore. Systems, one of the oldest, probably, to my knowledge, one of the first tech companies came out of Lahore back in the 70s. Then NetSol and Parkwheels and Comfairs and TechExcel and these, even some of the newer companies like DevZeng and Healthwire and other that we're talking about. I mean, these all give confidence to anybody looking to start a tech business in Lahore. There are at least half a dozen, maybe a dozen examples that I could think of companies that have evolved out of this ecosystem, that have gone out and that are now, so when people ask them, what's your origin story, they share their origin story as a startup that was, founded in an incubator accelerator in Lahore, the kind of support they got here and how that helped, groom them into the entrepreneurs that they are. And this then creates a network, effect that I personally believe will help this Lahori ecosystem sort of continue to grow and thrive into the future as well.